should be live. What is going on, everybody? RogersBase here, and welcome to my live reaction to One Piece manga chapter 1132. Now, I just said this over on Twitch because obviously we're doing this as a co-stream for Manga Sunday. We're going to be Hunter x Hunter later and doing unboxing and all this other stuff. But for those of you who watch my One Piece reactions on YouTube, who've been away from YouTube for the past maybe 2 weeks, as you can see, a lot has happened. We've gained in the course of like 2.5 weeks, like 40,000 subscribers between the Kinda Funny shout out, having Arcane, the new Sonic trailer, the Game Awards stuff. We have been zooming while One Piece has been on break. I have been a busy man. But hello and welcome to all of you. My first great love is back. One Piece is back. So let's not delay any further. Let's read One Piece manga chapter 1132. Okay, here we go. We are getting started in 3, 2, 1. Go. Adventure in Elbaf, Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 19, Udon Castle. Udon Castle is under reconstruction at the quarry. Okay, now I think we knew this already, that they were rebuilding Udon. Wasn't that already part of the, part of like one of the earlier cover story pages? I could have sworn that it was. Or they mentioned that at the end of Wano or something, but I feel like we already knew this. Either way, we get Tama with speed on the back. You get Yamato on the back of Komachiyo, very cute. And let us continue. Thank you, by the way, to Satwick for becoming a member. Nakama, appreciate that. All right, here we go. Boom. It's the great Eric. The giant pirates have returned. Isn't that great? But what took them so long? I was thinking this was a tontata for a little bit. Child of Elbaf, colon. Hey, that's also, God, that's a horrible name. If that kid's in school, his name is Colon. You know his names are getting made fun of constantly. Colon? Hey, Captain, are you going to drink at the pub? And you got him going, oh, what's up? Whacking him on the back. Oh, no, they're going straight up. They are? Well, that's smart if they've got guests with them, because once they start drinking, they'll be here for 3 whole days. He's like, look, we already drank on the boat. We don't need to drink anymore. The drinking got us in trouble. Let's just bypass this bar altogether. So up they go. Meanwhile, the bartender lady, though, is saying, if you're going up to see the Sunworld, I've got Ripley's favorite here. We're getting a new name of another character. The Sunworld, interesting stuff. And I've got a bit of Daddy's favorite, too. Wow, thank you. Okay. Do you know about the pirate that the captains Dory and Broggy are bringing here? He was just named one of the 4 emperors. Even Captain Redhair was talking about him. Don't forget this name, Straw Hat Luffy. I love the fact that he's hyping up our guy here. This is great. Okay, I am off. Yo, kid, tell the captains we'll deliver the snacks for their feast later on. You got it. Now look, it's the great Eric. Our timing is perfect and the rainbow has just touched down. So let's ride their coattails. All right, here we go. So Haruden is there. That's with his associate where they took down the giant moose earlier. It's been a minute, but I remember you as well. And they're taking the rainbow bridge up. Okay. A rainbow. It's so pretty. What a huge rainbow. I wonder if it's raining on the other side. Thank you, by the way, to Lucky for becoming a member. Nakama. Appreciate that, Lucky. Thank you very, very much. You got Brooke saying, I've never felt a rainbow so close before. It really is bright and solid. Are they supposed to be visible at this angle? Considering the fact, yeah, it's literally just an arch. It's such a mysterious and beautiful sight every time I see it, because of course Vegapunk has seen it before. This is also really interesting. Obviously we have to see Bonnie and Vegapunk with the crew, but it's just weird to see them interacting in this way. Very, very strange. All right. Is it that wondrous to you? We draw them with these painters. Draw them. So you created that rainbow. Of course. So we're getting a new piece of One Piece tech. This is neat. Painters. So the little blocks where you can make bridges. I feel like that is obviously going to come and play in the future. I feel like that'll be incredibly important once we end up getting to that final war and characters are trying to get all over the place. They're trying to get from one place to another. You throw the painter block or something. You take the rainbow up. Very good. I love to like new One Piece tech. That's one of my favorite things about the series. Okay. We're nearing the foot. Are you ready to go, captains? You ought to grab onto us now because the ship is going to go vertical. So they're all latching together. Vertical, but why? What's happening? Whoop, time to go up. No way to explain it, huh? Guess we didn't explain this yet, did we? The Elbaf villages are on top of that tree. So we basically have to go right up this rainbow to get there. We're going to have a grand feast when we arrive. And Franky's like, no, not that part. Explain what the heck's going on with this rainbow. What is the ship we're riding on? Rainbows are caused by the refraction of light passing through raindrops. What nonsense are you saying? Of course you can ride on rainbows. You can? You got all the people freaking out about it? All right. We're really... Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful page right there. We're really riding on it, huh? It's a tailwind. Perfect rainbow sailing weather. There's no resistance to the flow, so once you've rowed a bit, the rainbow carries you the rest of the way. You know, I bet Luffy and the others are going to lose their minds when they see this. And meanwhile, Brook is responding back, I think I lost my mind already. Yo! Me too! Ow! Franky in the back. Yeah, great shot once again, giving you the scale of the ships. And one thing I will say here, I don't know if it's just perspective, you know, the seagulls are obviously very close to the camera of the page. Are those giant seagulls? Or are those just regular seagulls that are super, super close to the page? Because if those are giant seagulls, that would be interesting to see here in Elbaf, and that would also make a lot of sense. And then you would also think that Big News Morgans would recruit all the giant seagulls to be the ones to deliver the news, that they'd get there quicker. I digress. Let's continue. You got Bonnie saying it's like we're sailing on a sea of colors. Even the sparkly sound is making it pretty. And Bonnie's sitting there like Robin with her kids saying, there's so many things still to learn about this world, I guess. So it's time to ship out Binks's brew. They're all singing Binks Sake in the back. Very cute. Hey, Captains Dory and Broggy. Is Straw Hat there? Well, whose ship is it but Haruden and Stanson? It's been a while, Haruden. It's good to see you, buddy. Meanwhile, Franky, wow, Cyborg. I see. So Straw Hat's coming a bit later. Yeah, I guess Franky hasn't seen Haruden since Dressrosa. That's right. And of course, Franky knows him, obviously, with all the stuff in the Coliseum and everything that happened with Doflamingo. Very interesting. I see. So Straw Hat's coming a bit later. Well, we just hunted a moose just for him. Well, moose is tasty stuff, and I'm getting hungry already. But only if there's time for leftovers. This is for the Straw Hat crew. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, the rope bridge connecting the underworld and the Sunworld. So we're getting another cut back over. The Sunny, that's our ship. Okay. Wait, they aren't showing Loki, so I was like, what's going on here? What's happening? How much further did this resolve? The Sunny, that's our ship. All right, so we're back with Gerd and the other dude. I forgot what his name was. I'm sure we're going to get reminded. You must be Luffy. I also love their giant little owl. The owl buddy. He's so cute. I love humans, but I'm not like him. So Gerd is just thinking Luffy's so cute too. The Sunny, that's our ship. Look, I'm not like that weirdo Road. I don't want to lock you up. I just want to be friends. How nice, Gerd. We can be friends. Gerd, that's not really the point right now. Oh, sorry. I know all about you already. You were brought here against your will. And that was because of that weirdo I know against my will. I'm so sorry about that. And Luffy's like, you mean the bonehead guy? Rodo? You just flew from the underworld. Did you fall down there? And now Luffy's thinking back on what happened. He's like, huh? He actually looks particularly scared in this shot as well, too. Interesting. Don't tell anyone about meeting me or our little promise. You got that, Luffy? Okay. And he's going to follow it? Luffy's not normally one to follow rules, so this is kind of interesting. Hey, it's too cold to be sweating that much, so don't worry about it, man. We're just glad that you're all right. Yeah, Luffy keeping a secret is bizarre. I feel like that is very anti-Luffy. Elbaf Sunworld. Okay. So that's all we're getting of the stuff with Loki? tell anyone about meeting me or our little promise. You got that, Luffy. Okay. Elbaf's Sunworld, 2nd level. I feel like that's going to be something that we're going to discuss a little bit later then. This thing with Luffy. Now I found you at last. Come back to me, my perfect little live dolls. Oh no, and Roto's catching them again. You got Nami and Chopper freaking out. Quickly, before everyone else finds out, I have to lock you up more securely than before, so I can keep you for life, my ultra rare Nami and my ultra rare Chopper. Day foo 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 foo. Meanwhile, Hadibal boom boom slamming the road giant thing on top of him. I don't believe it. Even animals wouldn't fall for that trap. Oh man, you really overdid it, Zoro and Sanji. Well, we can't get in trouble. We didn't touch him. That's true. Tree just fell on him. Now let's get going. I want to see this land of giants now. Curse you, tiny humans. But there he is. And the Straw Hats are there too. Everyone's finally together. Very good. That sounds like my ultra rare Gerd. Perhaps she's come to rescue me? Meanwhile, Gerd is whipping out the axe. He's whipping out the club, bashing him on the head. It looks like they're doing a lot of damage to him. Stop right there, Roto, you freak. Meanwhile, he's coughing up blood. Slamming his little arms down. And meanwhile, Sanji, of course, being Sanji, completely thirsting over Gerd over here. Going, whoa, a giant babe. See, now the evidence for our attack is gone. Good point. They already chopped up the whole tree, already took the whole thing down to free him, and they bashed him on the head. We're good. No harm, now foul. Usopp's free, Nami's free, Sanji's free, Zoro's free, and Luffy's back. Oh, you guys. Sunny's here too. Well, hello there. You must be the Straw Hat crew, and you just got little Sanji dancing on the bottom. Hearts in his eyes. I'm Gerd, and this is Goldberg. We're Harudin's friends. Now, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that scary experience, but don't worry. We'll be escorting you from here on out. Thank you, by the way, to Doc for becoming a member. Nakama. Appreciate that. Thank you, Doc. Wow, so Gerd is going to show us around, huh? you know, Sanji's saying that in a weird way. We didn't know what happened to us, but, I'll explain. And don't worry, we'll make him pay for it, too. So let's go, Usopp. The Elbaf village is supposed to be on this level. You got Usopp getting all hyped up saying, yeah, man, I can't wait to see it. Just go straight through these woods and you'll reach the clouds. Hitch a ride and you'll see the village. Now let's go after them. It's island clouds, huh? But wait, what if they're not? She said we could ride them. Meanwhile, back on the giant pirate ship as they're going up the rainbow, once we pass these clouds, you're going to see it. So again, everyone's going to gather in the Sunworld on the top. Elbaf has 3 levels. This is good information too. The underworld where Luffy just was, the Sunworld, obviously where we're going, and then the astral world as well that's on the top, which obviously we're going to see at some point. They're hyping this thing up. We're going to have to see the astral world. Starting from the top, it's the astral world, Sunworld, and underworld. Now we all live on the Sunworld, where the sun's rays reach, and there are a number of villages there. Now it's all too big to see all of it at once, but that's our village over there. And meanwhile, Robin's going, wow, oh, beautiful. And we get a gorgeous double page spread seeing the sun world of Elbaf for the first time. To be in the presence of the Gargantuan is to know emotion. Who can possibly put this sight into words that convey its grandeur? Really cool shot there with the rainbow in the background, the castle, all the giant huts, the bridges, the seagulls. So those are definitely giant seagulls then. This is not a perspective thing. Those are giant seagulls because you could see them flying over the bridge all the way over there. And they're looking huge in the background too. So, okay. Oh, I want to meet some of these giant seagulls, man. This is cool. Everyone's freaking out. You can see somebody else looking over on the clouds. Oh, that's them because you can see the little whoa screaming. Oh, this is cute too. Oh, I really like this actually. So with the double page spread of Elbaf, you also see a flashback to when Luffy and Usopp said they would come here one day, all the way back pre-time skip. You guys, someday, I swear I'm going to go to Elbaf, to the land of warriors. All right, Usopp, let's do it. And you got Luffy looking happy and Usopp absolutely sobbing, thinking about the promise they made all those years ago. All right, Usopp, let's do it. And Usopp's just taking in the grandeur of it all, knowing that he finally got here. He finally arrived. I love it. This is Elbaf Island, the Kingdom of Warland. Again, very cool to see the shot reaction of all the Straw Hats, but to also see Bonnie and Lilith emphasized with them. Very interesting. So Bonnie picking up the cabin boy role from Momonosuke, essentially, from the Dressrosa saga and everything else, and you got Lilith as our companion. So here we go. Most simplify the matter by using the name Elbaf for the land of giants. But Elbaf Island is the name. Okay. And you can see the Rainbow Bridge. Oi, Straw Hat. Luffy's group is here. We've been looking for you. Did you guys just get here too? I'm glad we found you. So it looks like it all worked out in the end. And meanwhile, the three of them are freaking out. Luffy and Usopp and Chopper. Plants, trees, vines, flowers, insects, fish, birds, and animals. Everything is breathtakingly huge. Adventurers, do not regret your lost time here. And you can see all of them freaking out saying, you guys are riding on a rainbow? What's happening here? Eyeballs popping out, tongue is waving. Elbaf rules. You got them screaming. However, if there is one message you take away from my account, and you can see all of them, let us on the ship. What is it, like a giant bear? Oh, and you get the silhouette of the person that was sitting earlier. If there's one message to take away from my account of the gigantic and mystical land of Elbaf, let it be this word of warning. Do not overstay your welcome here. Louis Arnaud, explorer. Okay, so that's the dude from Bragman. And the fact that I remember that is actually pretty good, but I know that because of Randy. Shout out to Randy Troy, by the way. Back in March, we did a whole discussion thing at C2E2, and we had little trivia questions. And the question was, who was the author of the books and from Bragman? Louis Arnaud, explorer. Okay. But this, I don't think this is Louis. Louis would be long dead. My assumption is this is still like, I know a lot of people think this is Scopper. It's some other interesting character. We know this is the dude that was sitting with Crocus. We know this was the dude sitting around at the end of, at the beginning of Elbaf, right as we were getting here in the first place. Okay. This is also an interesting way to end the chapter. Do not overstay your welcome here. Louis Arnaud, explorer, to be continued, One Piece manga chapter, end. Okay. 1132. A lot of interesting things that I feel like people can theorize and talk about in this chapter. I'm going to just jump right into my review before we get into super chats and before we talk about some other stuff. I feel like there's a lot of setup here to potentially go in a bunch of different directions with Elbaf. I'm going to say this right at the very beginning. The thing that still stands out to me is that thing on page 8 and 9 where we have Gerd talking to Luffy and saying, how did you get here? You flew up from the underworld. Did you fall down here? And Luffy actually looking scared. And listening to Loki saying, don't tell anyone about meeting me or our little promise. Do you have that, Luffy? Now, on one hand, Luffy's got a bit of childlike wonder, right? I feel like if there was a little game that the two of them were playing and Loki told him some more information, then maybe I could believe that this would be a secret that Luffy would be keeping. But Luffy should not feel threatened by Loki at all. There should be no way, shape, or form in which he would be threatened. Thank you, by the way, for becoming a member, Austin. We'll get to that in a little bit during our super chats. So to me, it is very odd, his expression on page 8. And on page 8 to page 9, in my brain as I was reading this, I was thinking that maybe Luffy is Loki. Right? Because Loki's whole thing is he's a shapeshifter in mythology and all this other stuff. And that maybe he actually freed him. And that the Luffy that we're seeing up here is actually Loki. And then, when you get that panel on page 14 and 15, with all the characters together, and Luffy is looking out, and you see Usopp sobbing, I then thought, this is kind of interesting too. Because, again, Luffy is just making a generic kind of like, wow, happy face there. But Usopp, thinking back on their promise, is like literally sobbing, thinking about how much this means to him. Now, obviously, Usopp, in a lot of instances, gets a lot more emotional than Luffy does. But then on the next page, on 16 and 17, you can very clearly see that Luffy is freaking out about the rainbow. So that is straight up just Luffy. Which then makes me wonder, okay, this is definitely real Luffy, but what the heck happened here then? What else happened in that confrontation with Loki? Beyond just like the threat and saying he's going to take out one of the pirate crews, what else did Loki tell him? There needs to be something else. Because I don't think, based on what we've seen of Loki already, that he should be scared by this at all. It just doesn't seem to make that much sense to me. That's my only thing that I'm sort of questioning this chapter. I think overall it was a great setup chapter. I loved that double-page spread of Elbaf. Absolutely loved seeing the Sunworld. I thought that was really cool. I like the explanation of the stuff with the astral world and the Sunworld and the underworld and the 3 different tiers of Elbaf. Also the thing of Louis Arnaud explaining that it's Elbaf Island and not Elbaf, but most people call it Elbaf. I think it's a kind of interesting thing that they'd add island to the end of it. That was cool, but why was that cut off? Just not really sure. I also, looking back on some of these earlier pages, let me pull this up, love the stuff with the painter blocks, right? Where we have like the painter blocks with the creation of the rainbows, I think is also interesting too. Again, I think it's a neat world mechanic for like a future fight, potentially, if the main Straw Hat characters learn how to use these rainbow blocks, which might be kind of huge in comparison, obviously, because it looks pretty big in the hands of Dory and Broggy. So I'm wondering how big these things are if you have to carry it on your back or something. Maybe Jinbei can carry these rainbow blocks. But either way, I think that's kind of a neat thing in terms of movement within the One Piece world. So I kind of like that too. Zoro and Ace, thank you very much for super chatting. Nakama, I'll get to that a little bit later. Also, real quick, while we're doing all this, for those of you that are watching on mobile, if somebody could attempt to send GIFs, apparently GIFs have been activated in beta on my YouTube channel on my vertical streams, and we weren't able to send it on my last vertical stream. So I would ask that in lieu of super chats today, if you guys could send GIFs so I could see how that works, let me know. Because apparently there's like a gift jewel thing that's on the bottom where you could send like roses and images that apparently affect the live stream itself. But I can't see it unless somebody does it. So I would ask that instead of super chats, because I'm sure people are going to be sending super chats to talk about stuff, just send GIFs instead so I know what the heck is going on there. All right, let's see this again and also open this back up. Here we go. I said that and then immediately, oh, here you go. Okay, so Doc sent floating heart of 10 jewels. So does that pop up on my end or does it pop up on the stream? See, this is what I want to know. Chat, do you see that heart on my end instead? Because I can't see it in OBS, but I think you're actually able to see it on the actual stream. That's cool. You see it on the stream. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. All right. I'm very curious to see if that stays in the VOD or if somehow, some way, you end up seeing it, what's it called, on the Twitch chat? Oh yeah, sent flowers for jewels. Interesting, this is cool. Oh, I like this. Sending flowers for Elbaf, giving Elbaf its flowers, very cool. Man, I like this. All right, anyway, going back to what I was saying though, the stuff with the rainbow painting. I just feel like that as a mechanic alone is incredibly interesting in terms of traversal. And I'd also be very curious to see if like other characters outside of the characters that were present in, what's it called, in Elbaf are going to be able to use it, right? Like if they drop a rainbow block or something during Final War, somebody else gets it, figures out how to use it, shoots a rainbow bridge over to like another island. Maybe that's going to be their way, because obviously they're not giving us any information on how long these rainbows could be. It would be kind of interesting if maybe they use that to create bridges, because the whole thing, right, is that potentially the world is going to sink. We know that after the end of Egghead, right? Potentially the world is going to sink. So they're going to need to find a way to get to the other islands or to get to the other clouds that the people are going to live on once the rest of the world sinks. So in my brain, I'm like, how cool would that be if Luffy's group, right, the Thousand Sunny, maybe has one of these rainbow bridges on the back, and they go back to all the old islands they were previously at before, and instead of making the giant bridge like, you know, that they had Tequila Wolf that like Robin was working on, instead they make these rainbow bridges to connect all of the islands above the water, as a means to get everywhere else. And you literally have Nami charting the whole thing out. Like, I think there's endgame stuff that these rainbow bridges can connect to, which I think is kind of neat. I really think that's probably my favorite thing from this chapter is the setup of the stuff with the rainbow bridges. I really, 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 really like that. Yeah. That's probably my favorite thing so far that they revealed here. Obviously, it's cool to see that shot of Elbaf. It's a beautiful double-page spread, but realistically, it doesn't look any different than I would have expected. Like, it looks pretty, and obviously everything is huge, but, like, pretty much looks exactly as I remember it from when we saw it in Big Mom's flashback, so that's not really a huge shock to me. I think it's more that it's just a nice spread. It's nice to see a double-page spread, and again, it's nice to see Usopp fanboying over something, so I liked that too. I also think, though, that message from Louis Arnaud at the ending, saying, do not overstay your welcome here, is very interesting, because I have been sort of flip-flopping on how long I think Elbaf is going to be. Like, on one hand, obviously there's a lot to do here. There's a lot to explore, lots of things we got to see. Robin's got to reunite with Saul. We got to know what's going on with Loki. We got to know more about what happened when Big Mom was here in the past. We got to see the other giants reuniting. Like, there's a lot to cover that we already know about. So I'm wondering if maybe that is our tease to the reader to say, hey, you know what? Might end up being kind of a short arc. We're not going to overstay our welcome. We're going to get in. We might not necessarily see everything. We're going to get out, right? That it's a very threatening place to be, that everything is so huge, the plants, the vines, the trees. Thank you, by the way, to Poof for re-becoming a member as well. Nakama. Thank you, Poof, and thank you to Doc for super chatting. Again, we'll get to super chats a little bit later. I'm very curious how this is all going to play out. Because again, in my brain, I could see this arc going in multiple different directions. I could see this being a very long Skypiea-esque arc now, considering how much we have to do and see here. But on the other hand, I'm feeling that I might have been right all those months ago when I mentioned that Elbaf was going to be a little bit of a shorter arc. Like more of like a Zoe type arc, right? And considering how quickly we've been moving through this, I wouldn't be that surprised. Because again, in any other story arc post-time skip, I feel like we would have been in that Legoland for like 4, 5, 6 chapters minimum. And we were in and out within 3. Which says to me that Oda is picking up the pace here. The fact that the crew is already together again after 5, 6 chapters is pretty good. Like, I really thought that was going to be something that was going to be split throughout, you know, maybe a full volume or something. I didn't think they were all going to be together again. But now everyone's back together. Luffy's back with the crew. The group that was on the boat is back with the Alabasta crew. That's the other thing we also still have to find out more about is the message in the newspaper with Vivi and the X. If that's going to be brought up at all to the Alabasta crew by the other crew. I'm just very curious. And then all this stuff going on with the silhouetted character. Like whether that is Scott or Gabon, as many people are predicting, or whether that's somebody else. I don't think it's Louis. Obviously, Louis would be long dead. So I don't think that's going to be Louis who wrote all this stuff out. And obviously, he wouldn't be staying his own advice if it says, do not overstay your welcome here, and that's just him. So I'm wondering. Or maybe it's Shiki. Again, maybe that could very well be Shiki. I saw a lot of people speculating based on the hair that we saw pre-time skip that it could have been Shiki. But then again, I think we saw this guy's legs, so I don't think it is Shiki. I mean, it could be. Maybe Shiki somehow, some way found a way to get a new leg or something instead of just having his peg legs that we saw back in back in the movie. Maybe it is Shiki, and that would be interesting. I mean, to be fair, I would love to see Shiki be involved in Elbaf, right? Especially if there's all these things with like rainbow bridges that move vertically, and then you've got the sky and the clouds that are connected, and Shiki can literally float. That's his power. And Shiki would know Crocus, and Shiki probably would have been in Elbaf before. And based on the way they're explaining like the animals and things like that, it does seem very Strong World-esque. Could be kind of cool to have Shiki actually implemented in the canon story. I would like that. And then, again, that could tie things in with Eneru and with Rouge and the other characters that I think we would need to see in this arc if we're going to see them again before Final War. I don't know, man. I'm super duper interested by all this stuff. But again, I think this is a good setup chapter. I love Gerd. I like seeing Shanji freaking out over Gerd. Poor Road, man. He just keeps getting beaten down. Yeah, again, I'm seeing people saying that it could be Gabon as well. Again, yeah, it could be Gabon. Gabon, the only thing against Gabon for me is people have talked about Gabon for so long that, like, the mystery is kind of worn off now. You know what I mean? It's like we've seen these other Roger pirates, and he's just been talked about for so much, but not in, like, a teasing way. I feel like he's been talked about more by the fandom than he has been by the text itself. I feel like, if that makes any sense, the text itself teased out Vegapunk for so long, to the point where it's like, oh, we're going to get some good lore when we meet Vegapunk. It's going to be a big deal when we meet Vegapunk. The story itself is not really teased out. Oh man, just wait until you get Scopper Gabon. You know what I mean? That's the only thing about it. Where I feel like Scopper Gabon became more of like a fandom thing than a thing within the text of One Piece itself. Is the only thing that leads me against it being Scopper Gabon. Now again, it's not to say that it might not be. It could very well be Scopper Gabon. And Oda might have just, because obviously Oda's familiar with the fandom and what people want to see. He could very well have hyped up Scopper and turned him into another character. But this is something that has been set up for a long time at this point. We saw this character sitting with Crocus way back when in a cover page. So again, to me, doesn't necessarily seem like the type of thing that he would be hyping up in this way. Unless he's planning on doing something really cool with that character, which he very well might be. But overall, yeah, I think this is a pretty solid setup chapter. I loved the shot with the rainbows. I like that the crew is back together again, finally. Poor little Colin. Back at the bar, the little giant kid that remembered Shanks. And he's all excited to meet Luffy, too. I thought that was kind of cute. Everyone's just excited to see Luffy. Harudin's there. The new giant pirates are together. Again, everyone is together. I like it. All right, yeah, overall, I mean, in terms of a rating, I'd give this like a 4 out of 5. I think it's a really solid, fun setup chapter, right? Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Nothing too amazing, nothing too shocking. I think the other, beyond the stuff with the rainbow, I think that ending bit with Louis Arnaud is more interesting than anything else. Like figuring out where exactly that's going to come into play. But yeah, otherwise, pretty solid chapter. What we are going to do, though, before we get to Super Chats, is I very much want to see what James did for the thumbnail. So let me open this up over here. Uh-oh. Move this on down for people who are over on Twitch. Bring this on down. Pull this up for everybody watching over on YouTube. Let me see. I should have this open in another tab. Let's pull this up. See what James did. I actually just talked to James yesterday because we had our weekly Discord, or not weekly, but monthly Discord movie night. And we watched the Sonic OVA, and he mentioned that he was having a hard time figuring out what he's going to do for this chapter. Oh, I think this is a good safe bet. This is a good safe bet, James. Very good. Very, very good. This is a good safe bet. I feel like it's been a minute since the last time that we saw their faces. I like this. So we got Usopp and Luffy. Let me actually go down to the other screen. Hold on. Wrong scene. Sorry, vertical. Let me just take the filter off. Here we go. There we go. And then let me take this manga one off as well. Here we go. And you guys will be able to see it. One more. Flip display, filters, and there you go in all its glory. We're getting his art. Now, obviously, the screen is flipped, so keep in mind, his thing is not on the wrong side. It's definitely on the right side. It's just my screen is flipped. So keep that in mind when you're seeing this. On Twitch, it doesn't look flipped for you guys, but for everybody else, it looks flipped. But otherwise, I do actually, again, like the fact that he drew Luffy with that kind of bland, happy expression here next to Usopp crying his eyes out. Again, I don't know why it's hitting me weird, but I feel like, to me, Luffy, upon seeing the rest of Elbaf, would have had a bigger reaction. Like, I feel like it just seems like a little bit of a tepid reaction. And it's odd, paired with the stuff that we saw with the rainbow. Right? When we saw the stuff with the rainbow, I don't know. I thought something weird is going on with Luffy, this arc. And I'm very curious to see what Oda is planning on with that character moving forward. Because again, some of his expressions just seem kind of off. Some of his mannerisms seem kind of off. Starting back to like when we first got here and he said, oh, I'm full, he doesn't want to eat the giant rabbit. Or like keeping the secret of Loki. and then the weird expressions when they actually get to the Sunworld proper. I don't know. It could be maybe that his mood died down a little bit related to the secret that he's got with Loki. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. He could just be a bad liar because he made that promise with Loki. Yeah, maybe. It could be that. I don't know. Either way, I love the colors that James used here too with both of them. I just really like, I don't think, James, I'm trying to think about it. I don't think he's ever actually drawn Usopp, ever, for a thumbnail. I think this is his first time drawing Usopp. I'm actually going to pull up the screen and see on my my thumbnail list if he's ever drawn Usopp. But I do think this could be the very first time that he's ever done it. Let's see. Pull this up. All streams. Does James hate Usopp? No, I just don't think he's ever come up. Oh no, he drew Usopp in the background of the 1127 one. He didn't draw Usopp once during all of Egghead Island. Other than one little chibi version of... No, wait a minute. He didn't draw him on this one. He didn't draw Usopp on the one where we got the little chibi versions with York. Interesting. And even then, on the other one, he never drew Usopp proper. There's no Usopp in the one on 1052 where the crew is together. Interesting. No way. He literally has never drawn Usopp. He's never properly drawn Usopp. Wow. I'm shocked. It's because Usopp's hard to draw. Just look at the nose. Maybe. I mean, it seems like he did a pretty good job drawing Usopp here. So I feel like, look, James, keep drawing Usopp. Look, I guess he has to practice a little bit, right? Considering the fact that Usopp is obviously going to play a big role in Elbaf. I'm sure he's like, look, I'm going to be drawing Usopp a lot over the course of the rest of this time here in Elbaf. So maybe that's like, look, I want to get my practice in. But otherwise, dude, James, you did a great job with this. This looks really, really nice. Well done. Well done, James. Good look for Usopp. Good look for Luffy. Very, 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 very nice. All right, let me open this up, and I want to start reading some of these super chats and seeing what exactly is happening here. Usopp is long overdue for a hype moment, is what you guys are saying over in the chat. Let me see this. I am going to pull up the viewer activity again and see some of these super chats and read some of these donations. All right. So thank you once again to Sotwick, to Lucky, to Doc, to Austin Smith, to Mike Moore, and to Das Poof, all for becoming members. Nakama. Appreciate that very much. Thank you very, very much. Let's read some of these messages. So I'm going to read the member messages and the super chats because there's actually not that many this week. Surprisingly enough. To be fair, we kind of have a smaller turnout than I was expecting for the Return Elbaf chapter. But I guess this one leaked at a weird time, and so people maybe like already read the whole thing, and it wasn't like there were that many big reveals. Nothing really that reaction worthy, so I kind of understand. Let's see from the beginning. We got Austin Smith saying, I want to see the theory of Kid surviving and setting Loki free happen. That maybe Kid asks Kid asks, I keep saying Luffy. Kid asks Loki to attack Shanks, and that would maybe come to pass. I mean, I like that idea. That's a cool idea. We know that Kid could potentially be in the underworld, you know, along with all the other people that got stuck in Elbaf in those giant outfits, right, where they had like their gas masks on and everything, and they're trying to avoid the other giant animals. Maybe that's where the Kid crew is. I like the idea of Kid coming into play, meeting with Loki, and actually taking... But I think like the Loki thing has already happened. Otherwise, why would Luffy be acting like this? So I kind of feel like the Loki thing's already happened. So as cool as that would be to see like Kid interact with Loki and then maybe get his wish, I don't think that's going to necessarily happen. We got Zoro Arctivist super chatting saying, could it be that Shiki is on the last page because you kind of see his long spiky hair? That's what we talked about earlier, that could either be Shiki or Scopper Gaban. We discussed that. Ace donated and said, I'm very curious if Robin will bring up the mask in the paper or save it for later. I also want to see them bring up the stuff in the paper very, very soon. Specifically the X. The X mark the spot thing, I need to see them bring up. Like, what is going on with Vivi and the message to the Straw Hats, drawing that on Luffy's arm. It's not visible when he's in Gear 5. It's there now. Somebody's sending a message. That's going to have to come up sooner rather than later. My worry is that the mark on Luffy's arm doesn't come into play until we actually end up getting to the end of the arc, leading into the final war. And that maybe Vivi doesn't show up here at all. That's my concern. I don't want that to happen, but I think that could very well happen. Thank you again to Doc for sending a bunch of flowers earlier with Jules. Clax also sent a thumbs up. I definitely have to go back and watch the stream and see how those little animations work on the stream, because I am genuinely very excited to see how that works. Poof sent a member message with his membership saying, I'm wondering why they didn't show Luffy in the crew reaction shot. I think the reason they didn't show Luffy in the crew reaction shot is because that shot was of the characters that were on the boat. I could pull this up on the other page and look real quick. I have to put my filter back on. Here, I'll do this and pull this on over here real quickly. Hold on. Whoop, pull this on over here. Oh, no. But you do see Zoro, Sanji, and Chopper there. Maybe it's because they had Luffy and Usopp on the other page. Right, because Luffy was already reacting with Usopp, and so they figured, look, we don't need to necessarily show him again. You get like Luffy and Usopp, and then it cuts to everybody else. Right, their pages are kind of separated, so that's my assumption. That's why we didn't see him there. I could be wrong, but... All right, let's see. We're going to reload this page. Bring this on back down again over here. Let's see. Doc super chatted and said, Roger, I think Usopp will gain some pop greens from Elbaf and use the Sunstone on Nami's staff. Oh, that'd be kind of cool. I like that, actually. I really like the idea of him using the pop greens, like the giant plants from Elbaf. That would be a good power boost for him, honestly. They specifically shout out in this chapter about the plants and the trees and the animals all being so huge. I kind of love the idea that, yeah, he would utilize the pop greens. That's neat. That's very neat. I like that a lot. Good call. Rob Harley donated and said, I found a very interesting connection. In the SBS section of volume 42, Oda answers a question about Louis' book that Nami read back in chapter 115, and it brought up the O'Hara incident. Well, the book, correct me if I'm wrong, the book is Bragman, right? Because Bragman is the book from Little Garden, and the whole thing is like, it's been a long time, so excuse me if I'm like making stuff up. But isn't the whole title of Bragmen, doesn't that come from the fact that it's like these people with these tall tales essentially made up stories? They were being braggadocious and they made up stories, and that the world government basically said none of this stuff is true. Wasn't that where that came from in the first place? I do think it's really interesting that Louis is being brought up here again, but also makes perfect sense when the book was brought up in Little Garden again, because again, we're now interacting with the giants. So I kind of like that. Yeah. Why do you think Louis said don't stay in Elbaf for too long? Because I'm thinking that maybe the giants are constantly starting wars. Well, we know that about the giants already. We know the giants are constantly starting wars. So that could be the answer to it. The other one is it could very well be related to the giant royalty, right? To potentially one of Loki's ancestors. I don't know why my brain keeps trying to say Luffy instead of Loki. But, you know, Loki, there's a lot of stuff going on with him. Whether it's like the marriage to Big Mom's family that was set up back with the stuff in Whole Cake Island, whether it's his power level, whether or not he's actually telling the truth about how strong he actually is, and that the giants actually did tie him to the tree, whether or not Shanks took him down. There's a lot of stuff at play with Loki. And I'm also wondering if maybe it just has to do with the environment of Elbaf itself, right? He teases at the end of this chapter how big everything is here, right? That everything in Elbaf is gargantuan, the animals and the plants. And because it is sort of like this wild environment that's undiscovered by the rest of the world just calls it Elbaf, but technically it's Elbaf Island, right? That maybe you shouldn't stay here too long because, again, it's unknown territory. you know, you could end up getting eaten by a giant bear or something. So, yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. We still got some more super chats I got to get to, though, before we get to some of the newer ones. So, hang out there just a little bit. I just read the one that was from Rob's. This one comes from Insatiable Hunger, who said, please do another Manga of the Year stream. People can ask till they're blue in the face. The Manga of the Year streams are dead. They're never happening again. I hate to say it, they're never happening again. I do, obviously, my manga sales streams at the end of every year, and we did 3 of those Manga of the Year debate streams, but those are now dead. We're never doing those again. Yeah, never happening again. Fun while they lasted. Obviously, it was fun when it didn't reach the, you know, audience extended outside of our own community. But when we did that last one and people were sending me death threats and sending like Obi death threats and saying they were going to hack my channel and do it was not cool. It wasn't cool. It was the worst experience I've ever had on YouTube with any fandom ever. And it was absolutely nightmarish. So the answer is absolutely not. Yeah, we're never going to do another Manga of the Year stream again. It was terrible. Many of you remember this. I'm not going to rehash the whole thing. But essentially, you know, we put out the bracket when I had my community vote on what their favorite manga chapters were, and then I invited all my friends to come over and do the debate stream. We put the bracket up on Twitter, and then what happened was a bunch of shoujo creators, a bunch of other non-YouTuber shonen like fans and stuff found it, started quote tweeting it. It got like mass quote tweeted and trending. All these people were saying, who does this guy think he is, creating this Manga of the Year thing? His you know, taste is horrible. They're all going to be a bunch of One Piece fans. They're going to be biased. How dare my favorite series not get in there? And then all these other creators were making videos about it. And then people were, like I said, sending me hate and death threats. It was too much. So literally, and it was right after we had experienced the hack too, because that happened. The thing got hacked. And then it was just like a one and done thing. And obviously I know that the hack at the beginning of 2023 was unrelated to the Manga of the Year stream at the end of 2022. I know they were unrelated, but that 4-month span, I mean, this is something I brought up earlier in the stream. This is something that I genuinely thought it was going to be impossible to climb back out of. When we were getting that much hate, and so many people like mass disliking old videos and unsubscribing, and then the hack happening and losing all the subscribers there, I really genuinely thought that could have been it for my YouTube channel. I really genuinely thought, we're done now. Like, we lost a bunch of people. Viewership was way, 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 way down. We lost a bunch of subscribers. The channel itself was hacked. All the videos were gone. It was terrible. And so it was just a horrible time on the YouTube channel. And unfortunately, it is what it is, you know. I like the community that I've cultivated on YouTube. I like being able to talk with all you guys, and even if we're making jokes and getting toxic, it's fun because it's on YouTube. But once it reaches outside of our own community, and once it, especially now on Twitter, like knowing how shitty Twitter is now, where someone's take can be taken out of context and then like quote tweeted and sent to all these other places, and it just honestly is not worth it. Yeah, so that is why the Manga of the Year is never coming back. And so again, people can ask until they're blue in the face, but it's not happening. Not happening. The only way I would even remotely consider it is if we set it as like a member goal on YouTube, and the only people at all, right, that are involved in it whatsoever are people within our community. Like if we did it where our community voted, it was on Discord, it was a members only stream, and it was like a member goal. Then I would do it again. But that would be the only opportunity in which I would do it again. But it would have to like stay within our community. It can't like reach out to Twitter. We wouldn't do like the voting via Google Drive the way I set it up before, the Google Forms. It would have to be completely different. And it would take me a lot of time to put it together. And that's the other thing about the Manga of the Year is this year, many of you guys know this, it's been a packed year in terms of making content. And so I feel like it would take a year in which I'm not doing a lot of other stuff, and I would need a lot of help from my community to do it, and it would need to be a member goal. It'd have to be a whole thing. But no, the Manga of the Year streams, I'm going to move away from this now because we got a little too far away from the One Piece stuff with this, but I understand that a lot of my One Piece viewers might not have known that this had happened, and obviously we got a lot of new subscribers since that subscriber jump last month with all the new Arcane stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, again, TLDR, even though I'm yapping, Manga of the Year is dead, and we are never doing it again unless it is a member goal and exclusively with our members. That's it. One and done. Sorry, Insatiable Hunger. I just don't want to deal with death threats again to the extent that it was happening. Clax donated and said, I think the line about the name the Island of Giants was actually saying the Kingdom of Warland in Elbaf is the Land of Giants. But most all call it Elbaf the Land of Giants. Wait, let me go back and see what you were talking about real quick. Let me see here. Let's see. This is Elbaf Island, ... the Kingdom of Warland. Yeah, so the Kingdom of Warland is referring to Elbaf Island as a whole, right? Most simplify the matter by just using the name Elbaf for the Land of Giants. Right, so not calling it the Kingdom of Warland, not calling it Elbaf Island. I think it's basically Oda through Louis Arnaud telling us, right, that there are multiple names that people refer to Elbaf with. These are all the different names, but for the purposes of the story, simplification-wise, we're going to call it Elbaf. But if you hear it called Warland, if you hear it called Elbaf Island, it's all the same thing. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate that. Thank you, Clax. Let me see. Oh, we got Mike Moore sent a little nakama in the chat with his membership. We also got Boo Mini in here gifting a membership. Thank you very much. He gifted a membership to Martin. Thank you, Boo. I always love seeing, whenever people gift memberships, that's always the best, because then I know people are getting access to other stuff. This is great. Randall L., we talked about that earlier, the don't stay in Elbaf too long thing about starting wars. This is a super chat that comes from Vin, who said, do you think Luffy will lie to the others about Luffy meeting Loki and the Yggdrasil tree being the power source of Elbaf and basically holding all of the 9 realms? Do I think that Luffy will lie to the others? I mean, he kind of already is, right? He kind of already is. Which is what's weird and out of character for Luffy. Again, I feel like Luffy wouldn't lie unless there's something that's directly threatening his friends. Because I don't think he should be scared of Loki. That doesn't make any sense. Why would he be scared of Loki? Based off everything that we've seen of Luffy, being steadfast and, ready to just jump into action, him being afraid about it makes me feel like there's something else going on with the story. So I don't know. Hey, Irving's in here. What's going on, Irving? Saying W chapter. What's up, Irving? My real life Nakama. Welcome, buddy. How are you? Welcome, Irving. Love seeing you in here. Very, very cool. Let me see. Joker's Fallen One became a member and said, Roger, when D. Grayman finishes, would you read it live? It has been my comfort manga for years. I actually love D. Grayman. Absolutely, positively love that series. Grew up loving that series. I actually own the first 10 volumes of the English D. Grayman. I have not read D. Grayman in a very long time. I can't guarantee that I would go back and reread more of it. But I will say this, I really do like the way that we're doing these Manga Sundays, where we do one piece on YouTube and then we read another chapter of another series over on Twitch afterwards. I just think it's nice. So I'm not going to say never to the idea of like when Hunter x Hunter ends, us potentially going back and doing a reread through of D. Grayman. Because again, that is a series that is near and dear to my heart, that I have a lot of familiarity with, that I would love to, in fact, do a reread from the very beginning for. I would love that. So I'm going to say, potentially, when D. Grayman finishes, potentially, I will read some of it live. Yeah. It's probably not the answer you expected, but that's the answer I'm giving you. I love D. Grayman. I'm happy to give you your comfort series. Not promising anything, but I do think there's a higher likelihood that you could potentially get a D. Grayman like read-through type thing from me than a lot of other series, just because I'm already familiar with it and I already know I love it. So yeah, man, we got a lot of super chats coming in now towards the ending. Welcome. Satwik is also saying in the chat, man, people really were so horrible for you during the Manga of the Year thing. It was so sad. Dude, it was nightmarish, I know. I also saw the drama show up on my Twitter feed constantly and even saw other YouTubers cover the drama. I know, Clax. I told you. See, that was the thing. The Manga of the Year was always meant to be something fun for our community and was never meant to be like a Game Awards level, Anime Awards level type thing. And so the fact that people took it as that and then like ran with it and just got so toxic with it. It was just not something I wanted to deal with, and I didn't want those people in my community. So that's a big reason why I just, knocked that stuff down. Rob said, Oda says that it's a book that is read all around the world. Oh, there's another one from Rob. Okay, a book read all around the world, that if the book only exists today because the scholars of Ohara gave their lives to protect it, it fills your heart with something warm. Oh, if the book only exists today, it's because the scholars of Ohara gave their lives to protect it, to fill your hearts with something warm. So again, that's going to tie in with the stuff with Saul then, which is even more of a reason why Saul is definitely going to be alive, that he's probably passed out because he's excited to meet Robin, or he found out that Robin was here, and that we're going to get some information there with that. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up though, Rob. Thank you. Because obviously I got my volume all the way back there, but I don't want to go through and pull out my volume 42 and do all this other stuff. So, yeah. Thank you very much for passing down what it said there. Roger, did you know that in the book called The History of Brazil, there's actually a man named Louis Arnaud who's a storyteller of his adventures? I highly recommend taking a look. The History of Brazil. Okay. Let's take a look. Pull this up. All right. Brazilian fans find a reference to a Jesuit priest named Louis Arnaud in an 1817 book about the history of Brazil. They had Louis Arnaud at their head, who was a good soldier, and by his maneuvers the day was won. 24 Spaniards, most of whom were the best families in Paraguay, fell on the bishop's part. Leon and the Jesuits then entered the city without further opposition, and here, if their own historians are to be believed, all evil as well as all resistance ceased. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that he's pulling from real-life history. Oda loves this kind of stuff. Huh. This is kind of neat, man. I think he thought of this reference as far back as Skypiea when Louis Arnaud was first introduced. This is from, I'm reading this from Reddit. It's from someone named Fuskav. He was a Jesuit, and it fits perfectly within the story of Skypiea being inspired by the colonization of America. Shandians are more similar to the Mayans and the Inca and their big empires, but are still similar to the indigenous people of what they called Brazil. I still remember Hans Staden, a colonizer guy whose story I read in 6th grade, who was a coward that the indigenous people refused to kill and eat. Because they believed that you got the strength of the person that you consumed. So he just basically hung out with them and wrote a book, and maybe Oda knows the story. Interesting. Yeah, and again, the Louis Arnaud stuff was way before Skypiea. The Louis Arnaud stuff was, back in Little Garden. So honestly, this is all kind of cool. I like him implementing all this real-life history stuff here. This is neat. Also, Yoshi King over on Twitch is saying, not trying to be negative or anything, but I'm honestly a little bit disappointed so far with the lore stuff. I can't wait for more to come. Meeting with Saul will definitely help. I think, if you're disappointed with overall lore, I feel like a lot of that's going to come with Saul and the books of Ohara. Looking at how things are going right now and the characters all being together, I feel like we're going to get to Saul before the actual confrontation of the arc itself. I feel like they're going to discover some truth about Elbaf through the books from Ohara, or something Saul tells them, and that's going to lead directly into whatever the conflict is here. Whether that's the stuff about the sun god and the false sun god, what the devil fruit was that was passed down through the royal family, the stuff with the astral plane, or they're not even calling it the astral plane. It's the astral world, the sun world, and the underworld. There's a lot of interesting things that we could take from this. So, let me keep reading. Hold on. Pull down, because again, we have a lot more super chats here that I want to get through. So that one came from E.E. Giuliani, who donated about the history of Brazil. This next one comes from Mike Moore, who said, this might have already been said, but is there a chance that Loki has a sort of Usopp false god hype thing going on? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about this on previous One Piece read-throughs as well, about the fact that Loki could very well not be telling the truth, that he may not be as powerful as he's saying, that the giants may not have been the one who tied him up, that timing-wise it could have very well been Shanks that he fought, and that his power that he got from the royal family, that he's calling the sun god power, might not necessarily be a rubber fruit, might not necessarily be an actual sun power fruit. It could be something else entirely, or he could have just made the thing up. So, yeah, I definitely think there's a high likelihood that Loki is just pulling an Usopp, making stuff up type deal. Yeah. We even brought up on an earlier stream that potentially, despite how hyped up he's being, that potentially that is going to be Usopp's opponent for Elbaf. That somehow through his lies becoming true, Usopp is able to fight the lies from Loki. And that you're going to have like the Battle of the Liars taking place while Luffy's fighting somebody else. Yeah. I think that'd be neat. We got another donation. This one comes from Boo Mini, saying it was great to see you on the Nintendo Prime podcast on Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed your glass of wine. Absolutely love your channel. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. Nakama. Thank you, Boo Mini. Thank you. I Ate Your Potato said there's a great theory that Loki was the previous Yonko who Shanks replaced after defeating him, since Shanks became Yonko 6 years ago when Loki lost. Oh. See, but I feel like, well, hold on, wait a minute. Maybe. Because the giant pirates obviously were well known throughout the rest of the world. The rest of the world knows of Elbaf in a way that they don't really know about Wano, right? Where Wano had its closed borders. The rest of the world does know a bit about Elbaf, and they call it a bunch of different names. People have traveled there. Nothing's stopping them. They're just going to end up getting stomped on by the giants. There's obviously the stories of all the giants as well. That would be really cool if potentially, yeah, Loki and his pirate crew were a previous Yonko, and then Shanks, by beating him, took the title. I kind of love that, actually. I'm surprised I actually never even heard that up to this point. I feel like, I'm doing One Piece streams all the time. You'd think at some point I would hear that theory. That is a great one. Wow. I really, really like that. Thank you for bringing that up. Cool. Cool. I Ate Your Potato donated. Oh, literally the same thing. I don't know why it showed up twice in my super chat. There you go. When Loki lost 6 years ago, he became Yonko. There you go. All right. Just read this. Insatiable Hunger donated again, who asked about the manga of the year and said, okay, but in your opinion, what so far is the manga of the year? For me, it's Hunter x Hunter. Oda's taking too many breaks and Hunter x Hunter's story is unfolding. Sakamoto Days and Chainsaw Man is definitely up there. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be 100% real. I think it's probably just One Piece for me. I think it's One Piece. I think it's probably a boring answer, but I think it's probably One Piece. I have loved all of the chapters that we've had for Hunter x Hunter so far this year. I've greatly enjoyed them. But Hunter x Hunter is highly dependent on what happened in like the 2 years prior and all the stuff with the Succession War. And I feel like most of the stuff that we've had this year has just been set up with Hunter x Hunter. I liked all the stuff. Wait, it's saying out of memory here. My opera's out of memory because there's a lot of stuff going on here. I also don't really read a lot of manga that I'm not doing live on stream. So the only manga that I've read all year was One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, and then this isn't even a manga. We made the manhwa of Solo Leveling Ragnarok. That's it. I have not read anything else all year. I haven't done anything else. And Boruto, I guess we read Boruto too. But Boruto's monthly. So I feel like for me, it's just One Piece, mostly due to the fact that I haven't read anything else. Yeah. Don't elaborate too much. You don't want to get taken out of context. No, but I mean, even if it was that Oda wasn't taking a bunch of breaks, I still probably would have said One Piece this year because of the ending of Egghead. The end of Egghead was just so unbelievably good with the Gorosei and all that stuff being set up. So, yeah, I'd say it would still be One Piece for me. But again, the only series I've read all year were One Piece, Boruto, Hunter x Hunter, and Solo Leveling Ragnarok. And even then, Solo Leveling Ragnarok is a manhwa. It's not really a manga. So, yeah, next year I would like to read a lot more. But again, I've said this too, and this is another big reason why we haven't really done that many more manga of the years. As I get older, I find myself less and less interested in shonen, no matter how good the shonen are. I feel like I find my time wanting to, read manhwa or like read books as opposed to reading shonen manga. I feel like I've done the big hits now. I've gone through all of Naruto. I, did a good majority of Bleach. I'd like to go back and finish the rest of Bleach at some point, but I've done the majority of Bleach. Done all of One Piece, done all of Hunter x Hunter, Did Boruto, did all of Solo Leveling. I feel like I hit the big ones, other than Dragon Ball, which obviously a lot of people grew up with. Dragon Ball's a big one. And then parts of Bleach, I don't know. I'm kind of over it. And I think the interesting, cool new shonen, like things like Dandadan, for example, that I'm really enjoying, I would just rather watch an anime instead of reading it. You know what I mean? I'd rather just see it adapted and watch it. It's less effort on my part. Yeah. But that's where I am right now. Kami came through with a membership. Nakama. Thank you very much, saying, my man, Roger, it's been a long time, but I am still here. 61 months. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm still supporting you. Elbaf is going to be epic. Loki and Shanks lore. Please, who do you think this explorer is? Well, Louis, obviously, we talked about a bunch earlier in the stream. I think the community wants it to be Scopper, the dude with the hat, with the straw hat and with the golden hair. I think the community wants it to be Scopper. I think I would rather it be Shiki or someone else new entirely. That's my final answer on that. I'd like it to be someone new entirely. Yeah. Let's see. What else are people saying? I want Usopp to find Thor's hammer. I think that could be cool. I see Rob saying that I read a theory that Louis is related to Nolan. That would be kind of neat as well. Randall said Egghead was pretty dang peak this year, to be honest, so I don't blame you. Let's see. Any other theories or things that I'm missing before I wrap it up over on YouTube? I'd love it if we had a battle of the wits between Loki and Usopp where they try to get each other to believe one of their lies. That's what I'm saying. I would love to see that too. I'd love to see that, Klex. Mike Moore also donated and said, Roger, where are you at currently in ReZero? The newest season is great. I'm not sure if it's going to be a watch through or something to watch on your own, but it's a nice change of pace. I dropped ReZero. I'm sorry. I dropped it. I didn't enjoy it. The first season I thought was pretty good. The second season fell off a little bit, and then I just kind of never went back. And I don't see a situation in which I would go back. I'm just going to be real. I don't like Subaru. I really, really, really don't like Subaru at all. And I know a lot of people relate to him and really like him as a protagonist, but I don't like Subaru at all. And it's very difficult for me to get through ReZero with Subaru as the protagonist. I've had this issue with a couple other series. I feel like it's a little bit of a shame. And I know people love ReZero, but again, not everything is for everyone. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't like him. I don't like Subaru. And I know someone's going to say, could you elaborate? I'm going to be honest. I literally don't even care enough about the series to have even thought about it more than a little bit. I watched it. I forgot about it. I moved on and I watched other things. That's just the way it goes. Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't find him appealing as a protagonist. To be fair, it's the thing that got me in trouble with Gurren Lagann as well, right? Where I also didn't really like Simone as a protagonist either. That the whole first half of Gurren Lagann I loved, where we had his, what's his name? Kamita or whatever his name is? Kamita? What's his name? Simone's mentor. I loved him. I loved all the stuff with him and Yoko. It was great. Kamina, thank you. Loved him. And then once it got to the stuff with Simone, wasn't vibing with me. Yeah. So. But did you read Freren? Yes, I don't read Freren, but I watch Freren. And I do enjoy Freren. That's what I'm saying. I don't read Freren, I watch it. And Dandadan's the same thing. I've been watching Dandadan and not reading it. And so for me, I just feel like I'd rather enjoy those series via the anime with all the music and the voice acting and the pretty animation. I'd rather just do that than read it myself, So that's where I'm at with Dandadan and Freren. I'm not caught up to either. Well, I'm caught up to the Dandadan anime, but that's it. But I'm backed up on Freren episodes. But, man, I got the hiccups. But I would definitely like to see more. Yeah. I also see somebody in my chat saying I had the same issue with Boruto. I hate him and I hate Sarada. Exactly. That's how it goes. Sometimes you just can't connect to the protagonist. That's how it is. Let's see. Ronald donated and said, I actually think that maybe Elbaf has some type of time manipulation at play via Arnaud's warning. Time manipulation? That'd be kind of cool. Like you're saying the island itself has like a weird time thing going on, or that maybe somebody has a time fruit that's able to manipulate time and keeps you there longer? That'd be kind of neat. I'd like that. Clack super chatted again. We're getting a lot of super chats at the end of the stream. Super chatted again and said, one last super chat from me today. How was your Thanksgiving? I hope you had a good one and you had a wonderful holiday season. I had a great Thanksgiving. One, because on Thursday, I was hanging out with all of you on stream for Thanksgiving. And then on Friday, I cooked a feast. Let me show you all the stuff that I cooked. Hold on. Check this out. I was a pretty good cook, dude. Look at that. I made ribs, roasted broccoli, cranberry sauce, baguettes. There's like garlic parmesan potatoes that one of my friends made that they brought over, as well as like a green salad. I had this really delicious French onion pasta. Hold on, let me pull up the thing. We had ribs. The ribs were also delicious. You can see these. Look at these. Slow roasted ribs. Absolutely delicious. Made all of those. Then here are all the different sides. You can see the French onion pasta. You got the roasted broccoli, the little garlic parmesan potato balls. It was great. Let me see, what another thing. Let's see. Let's open these up. These were the little desserts that we made. These were little puff pastry apple donuts, basically, that were coated with cinnamon sugar. Absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. And see, here's all of us hanging out. So that's me and Reagan, and then our friend Brent, who some of you might remember from the video in which I gifted him a Nintendo Switch. He's the voice of Apu in One Piece. So Brent is the voice of Apu. That's, you guys would know him as that. And then that was his wife Donna as well. And so the two of them are our neighbors. And so they just came by on Friday and brought a bunch of stuff. They brought a salad and some potatoes. And then Reagan and I cooked up everything else. She made the puff pastries, and I was making the roasted broccoli, and it was all really good. And then we got the ribs, and we had a really, really nice time. So I had a lovely Thanksgiving, absolutely lovely Thanksgiving on Friday, and then hung out with all of you on Thursday. Yeah. See, this year was just busy though, because Reagan couldn't get off work. I knew I really wanted to stream. Sometimes for Thanksgiving, we go back for her family. It's been a while since I went back for Thanksgiving in Chicago, because I usually go back to Chicago for Christmas the very next month. And also, like, traveling on Thanksgiving is just like not fun, because everyone is traveling on Thanksgiving. And like, I go to see my parents all the time, and she goes to see her parents all the time, and we're constantly traveling. And so for us, it's like Thanksgiving isn't as important of a holiday in terms of like seeing our family again, because we see them again right after and sometimes right before. So we're like, well, it's better to stay here and make a bunch of money on stream while the ad revenue is really good on Thursday, and then just have Friendsgivings and hang out with everybody else. So yeah, but it was great. Yeah, I think it turned out really nicely. So thank you for asking. Appreciate that. All right, I think that is going to do it for Super Chats here. So thank you very much. I also see, oh, hold on, wait, I'm saying, what is this? Could you look into what happened on my Twitch? I want to watch your content. I don't know what happened. Oh, sure, I will take a look. I'm assuming you're watching the Manga Sunday version of the stream, and you're wondering what's going on there. I will take a look right after this. Oh, by the way, we also got another, this is great. This is from ACEO, saying, I want to say happy 400K subscribers. Thank you very, very much. When are we expecting something? So the plan, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to mention this at the end of the stream. The plan right now is to basically do a 24-hour live stream. That's what I've wanted to do pretty much since we made that goal way back when to hit 400K. So the goal is to do a 24-hour live stream, but the problem is there's really no opportunity to do it within the next couple weeks. So my assumption is we're going to do the 400K live stream after I get back from my travels around Christmas time, because I'm going to Vegas and Chicago and then Orlando, and then I come back here. And so I'm going to be back here like second week of January, I think. Plus, I also want to have time to like plan the whole thing out. So we're going to do a big 24-hour live stream with like member goals, and we're going to have like member, we're going to do watch throughs and like reaction requests, and we're going to do like member call-ins, all kinds of fun stuff. But I've never done a 24-hour live stream, and I think it would be the perfect opportunity to do it and to bring a lot of new people into the fold. Like I said, I've been so fortunate to have so many new subscribers over the course of this past, month and a half. So thank you all so much. I feel like the majority of people that are in this are like longtime subscribers. I don't really have a lot of new viewers watching this because they're mostly like gaming people, but thank you very much. Are you going to include when you're bathing? Probably not. I'll probably take a shower the next day and not shower during that stream. Do it before the Switch 2 reveal. Oh, that's true. I should probably do it before the Switch 2 reveal. Congrats again for 400K. Thank you, Gabe Nakama. Appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Congrats again. Yeah, it's been a great couple weeks. And One Piece doesn't seem to be on break either. So I'll be back next Sunday with my reaction to One Piece 1133. Thank you all so much for tuning in. But again, reminder, the fun isn't ending. If you're at all interested in Hunter x Hunter or a massive thing that I'm about to unbox from Funko that got sent to me, we're going to be opening that up on Twitch the second the stream is over. So as always, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Nakama!